Hello, and welcome to episode 6 of Weird Holocaust Back in the Game. Glorious February, Rob.
It is, and it is glorious.
It's snowed.
That's the perfect word. It has snowed.
It snowed, which is glorious.
Yes.
I did see a tweet this week where a man said, took a photo out of his window of a London street covered in snow, and he went, "Oh my God, someone killed a marshmallow man." I haven't seen that joke made about snowfall before. Why is that not how?
Wow.
1984, Ghostbusters came out, and nobody's made the joke about.
It's because of the reboot. Suddenly it's gone. Ooh,
So
ooh.
You put a few women in a reboot of a classic film, and suddenly everybody starts making jokes about snow.
Yeah,
Insane. But there we go. So, how are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm not so good.
Oh.
Fall in February is off to a pretty poor start.
Why is that?
Well, essentially, I put this on the article that you kindly put together. I wanted to have Call of Duty Advanced Warfare finish this week.
Yep.
It would give me a good start. One off the sheet. Clock that down. It's a short game.
They are. The campaigns tend to be, 6 to 8 hours, depending on how you play.
So even with me being pretty poor attention span, I'll be able to hammer through that.
Yep.
What I didn't bank on was the fact that the laser in my Xbox console doesn't like to read discs anymore, just in general, and it's still installing now. 2 days later.
I saw the pictures on the We Are the Holocaust Twitter account, at We Are the Holocaust, and R instead of the R.
That's good on brand.
Thank you. And I saw your little picture, and it made me smile. I thought, yes, the old install problem. And then several hours later, and it had moved such a tiny amount.
And that's what annoyed me most. I don't mind like a 6-hour install for a game. That's absolutely fine. Because nowadays, huge amounts of information having to be installed. If you're talking about a 40 gig install, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
I remember PC games where you'd have 3 or 4 discs and you'd be installing
for
ages.
Yeah.
I've had a Spectrum.
3 or 4 floppy disks even.
Spectrum games where you'd wait 25 minutes for a game that you could complete in 10. I'm not bothered by that. It was just the fact that because my console is knackered and I just refuse to send it back to me repair because I don't want to be without one, I'd immediately feel more like you, Rob.
Yeah.
I'd be a person without an Xbox One.
Except mine doesn't take 14 hours to do very little.
It doesn't. So I've...
But the ironic thing is, you don't want to send your Xbox One back, which I can understand. There's a lot of good games come out, especially over Christmas, so you've built up a little stack of games. Yeah. But equally, it's kind of snowballed a bit now because your plan for the end of the month has kind of come unstuck as well, hasn't it? As a result, because now you're on to Mario already.
Yeah, well, so that was going to be my last game, basically. Or one I could play while the kids are around a little bit as well. Yeah. Well, no, I couldn't, because that's right, because I haven't told the kids. What was it? Oh, Lego Batman was the game I was going to play with the kids. So yes, that was going to be the last bit of the month. So the idea was I could send my console off for repair and continue for in February, which would be good. But now I've already started Mario. I completed about 15 stages of Mario for 2% of the install on Call of Duty. So, when I woke up this morning, I was immediately just turn the Xbox on screen, because it basically installs while it's on standby mode. So it was installing. Now, I didn't know whether it would install from disk while on standby mode or not. Yeah, it does. Okay. So that's good. Yep. Still bloody slow, though. So it's now on about... it was when I left this morning, 38%. So maybe when I get home tonight, it will have finished installing. It's ready to play, in inverted commas, because obviously some games...
It's the buffering type concept.
Yeah, but I can't... I think what you can play is the title sequence. Okay. I think then you have to wait for the rest of it.
So you can play the bit where it says press start.
Yeah.
And then it'll go, please wait.
Well, Alien Isolation had one where you could walk around on the first ship of the game. Okay. You couldn't start the main campaign. Right. You could just sort of explore a bit, which was nice. And FIFA tends to do it. You can play on that little pitch that you used to get on the title screen.
Yes, the loading screen,
Yeah, so they would use that and you just play around.
So they're nice touches because obviously that's while it's loading the proper game of FIFA in the background. So you can move around, and you can try a few skills.
Like, say you've gone from FIFA on the 360 to FIFA 15 on the Xbox One. There's a lot of new fine control that you can then get used to. So then you're into the game proper. And I like that.
Yeah.
That's
and they introduce mini games as well.
Or you'll
hit the four corners, then you've got to try and bend it around. It taught you the skills and mechanics of the game while
and
doing
racing
mini
games tend to give you just like a hot lap.
Yeah.
So you're just driving around a very basic
Or even
track.
if they just let you look at a 3D model of the car.
Yeah.
At least there's some
There's
interactivity.
something there. You're not just waiting on
Yeah.
a loading bar.
You're just staring at the
So,
screen.
so Call of Duty, up until I went to sleep, I hadn't even got to that point. So I couldn't even just pretend I was enjoying it. I wasn't enjoying it. Full stop. It was just, I was sat there playing New Super Mario Bros., which is a very, very good game, but it is still a Mario game, and I'm struggling like hell to care.
Yeah.
I don't like Mario games.
Is it because they're too samey
Nope.
against past generations?
No, it's because I had a Sega Mega Drive, and
You're
I
all-
once threatened to poo on a child if he bought a Super Nintendo. So I was fiercely loyal in the console wars, to the point that the first Mario game I played properly, I did play the Super Mario Land on the Game Boy, but Game Boy games didn't count because they were portable. It was only home console that I had, but it was the N64 Mario. That was the first one I played, and I played that at Mario Kart. I still think Mario Kart 64 is horrifically overrated.
Yeah.
Super Mario 64, very good. I can't fault that. Yeah. That's almost as good as Spyro.
I'm with you there. Mario 64 was really good, a really solid game of that generation.
Yeah, and then when I sort of moved on to the Wii, I did pick up the Super Mario All-Stars collection, which had the older games, but the Super Nintendo polished up version. And they're all right. I mean, they're what they are. The DS I got, I mean, I've since bought every Nintendo device, and I've bought Mario games because pretty much that's the only good games you get. But at the same time, it just feels like it's the same thing again. Now, the big selling point for New Super Mario Bros. Wii U, much like it was for New Super Mario Bros., is 4-player co-op. Yeah. And you can just bounce off each other. But I'm playing it on my own.
Yeah. You don't get that.
I thought, well, I need to do something to say, why am I bothering with this next-gen, shiny HD Mario? And it is a pretty game. Yeah. What I've done is opted to go away from the HD version and just play it on the tablet.
Okay.
So it's almost like I'm playing a game on my iPad, but with control sticks. So I played in the toilet, I went downstairs, did some washing, I was playing it in the kitchen. That was really cool. I like that.
See, I like that about the Wii U.
Yeah.
So I did it with Mario Kart 8 on your Wii U, and I had a little play, and I really liked that, actually. Yeah. I found that more comfortable. Yeah. Just stretching out on the sofa with the pad.
And that's the thing.
Than I did watching it and playing on the TV.
Because we started you off without the TV, didn't we? And then we put the TV on afterwards, I think.
No, we started with the TV in the normal way. And then you were like, and look what else it can do.
Oh, that's right. And we changed it from the map to the... I see. But yeah, and that's the thing. With Wii U, that sort of second screen thing, it works really well in companion. So like Batman Arkham City, you've got like all the tools. Like your X-ray camera and stuff you use on the actual touchscreen. And that feels a bit more like your Batman. Yeah. Because like all the encryption stuff where you'd be doing it on your gauntlet in the game, you're doing it on a touchpad. Yeah. Deus Ex as well has the same sort of thing.
It's a lot more immersive into what you're doing in the game.
Yeah, and when you haven't got those features, generally you can just play a game. Yeah. And I really like that. And I like the fact
I really like that idea.
I
really
haven't
like
got to sit on the TV in one place, quite static, and it's helped. I have...
You see, the thing kind of strikes me with it as well is you're getting the best of both worlds in a sense, because you've got a home console, but I'm sure you can relate to this as much as I can. If you share any living space with a partner, a housemate, or kids, you can still play while they watch TV.
This is it.
So you've kind of got the best of both worlds. You've got the portable gaming element of the handheld, but you've also still got a fully fledged console.
And this is the thing, obviously, PS4 to Vita, you can do it, and soon we'll be able to do it from Xbox One to PC.
I'm surprised they haven't made more of smart glass in certain aspects.
See, this is the thing, like the Xbox to PC stuff, I understand more because the screen's going to be better for it. Whereas smart glass is made for smartphones upwards, you kind of obviously you wouldn't want to push great big HD graphics over. But I don't know how easy that will work with my laptop being a bit poor. But I could run on live through the laptop and through the micro console. And that's essentially the same sort of technology we're talking about, only instead of connecting to the internet and streaming, you just stream in an image. And that's not very hard to do. It doesn't require much processing. It's mostly just a screen. So it will be interesting to see how it goes. But the Wii U does excel in the fact that you can... I mean, we can sit in the same room and the kids can be on the 360 and some other kids can be on... Not some other kids, my other kids can be on the tablet for the Wii U and I can be on my iPad. And one of them can go on the Vita. Yeah. You know, between us, we'd all be playing a very... like a proper game. Yeah. But separately. But I do love that tablet. And the tablet's comfortable, I think, more when you're looking at it.
Yeah.
When you're kind of looking at a screen, it's too big.
Yeah,
The spatial awareness is slightly off.
Criticism.
Whereas when you're kind of looking at it and you're like touching it and you're going through, that feels like that should have been maybe the design all along. But yeah, it's very good, and hopefully I will have that finished by the end of this week. Well, not this week, next week, alongside Call of Duty, if it installs. Because at the moment, I mean, we're the sixth now, fifth.
It'll be the 6th tomorrow.
6th tomorrow.
We're recording on the 5th.
Yeah, so...
The date's just there, look. See?
Oh, there it is. So this will be going out on the 7th,
which
will be the end of week 1, and I won't have even really got very far in. What about you? How are you doing? You're 4 in February.
I've been soldiering on with Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
And my determination is to finish that before I move on to the next one. And I think you were the same outside influences aside with Call of Duty, obviously. But I want to get Tomb Raider finished.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed it. I know we've talked about this ad nauseum on recent episodes. So
yeah.
That's the one. I'd like to get that done. And then I'll move on to the next one. Progressing quite well. I think now I'm actually at 50%. I thought I was at 50% a couple of weeks ago. Okay. Then I wasn't at all. I was about 36%.
But so, there is a lot of percentage to complete.
Yes,
to actually complete.
And I'm hoping to try and conquer the tombs, find all the hidden bits.
Yep.
It's one of those games where I actually genuinely want to go and find this stuff.
And that's what you want from a game. I mean, if you'd have bought that at 40 quid, that's exactly what you should want to do. It doesn't matter how much you pay. Like, if you pay £6 for it second hand, which
would be a frigging bargain.
That's what we sold it here.
Exactly.
But if you buy that, it shouldn't mean that therefore you think, oh, well, it's only a 3 hour storyline. Yeah. That's throwaway. No, you should still get a 40 quid game.
Yeah.
You come into it later. It doesn't mean that the quality should be any lower. Yeah. And with Tomb Raider, it certainly sounds like you've got the bug.
Definitely.
Under the skin. And now obviously we've got Rise of Tomb Raider.
We have.
On the way as well, which the more we see of that, the more exciting it gets.
It does. They released a little bit of news about it this week.
Yeah.
And it sounds like really a lot of it is expanding on what we've seen in the Tomb Raider reboot.
Yeah.
But there's going to be more crafting apparently. How that works depends how you feel about crafting in games. I
liked it in Tomb Raider.
I liked it.
I liked because it in Far Cry.
Nice. It was simple upgrading, which I kind of liked. So as the game progressed, your weapons got better. Yeah. And I like that idea.
And it's as we spoke about previously. It's like it meant you could be in an area you've already been in, but suddenly you had the capability to do that rather than just this.
Exactly.
So I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah, and they've talked about hunting playing a bigger role as well. Again, how they expand on that depends on how you feel about A, hunting in the first game, and B, whether you want to see more of it or not.
See, again, it as a survival game, it's integral.
You'd expect some of it, exactly.
If you were playing, say you're playing DayZ, and you need to get some materials, or you need to get some way of sustaining yourself, that's an integral element. When you're playing a Resident Evil game, you're looking for herbs and ammunition everywhere. You know, if there was a way of finding a hedgehog and shaving all the spines off and eating it like an apple in those games, you would have done it because it was necessary.
Yeah.
And so with Lara Croft, it is definitely more a Bear Grylls existence.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like she's squeezing the poo out of an earthworm just to make a little pie. It is like a proper survivalist experience, and I think that's something you definitely got from the first one, but she wasn't very good at it.
Yeah,
She'd been introduced to the world of it. She knew the basics.
Yeah, and that was what I liked about the way the upgrades worked, because you're unlocking skills. Basically, you will find more things if you scavenge dead bodies, or you'll get more from scavenging crates. So it was almost like her in-game persona and growth as the Tomb Raider kind of went hand in hand with that. And it was a nice sort of progression tree in that sense, I thought. As I said, depends where they go with it. If they go too far, it can become a chore, as Mass Effect 2 with the scanning the planets.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people didn't like the way they evolved that particular aspect of Mass Effect, whereas before you physically went to the planet, you had to drive around in the Mako, you found these bits, off you went.
Yeah.
Not everybody liked the planet scanning.
No.
I can't say I did. Once I'd maxed everything out, I don't think I ever scanned again.
No.
And it was sort of thing you did because you had to.
It was a lot better than trying to control the Mako.
Well, that was more down to mechanics than an inherent problem with that idea of exploring
the mechanic
planets.
should have been loaded into an airlock and blasted out in space and told to design a better craft for surveying a planet. But like something that could fly maybe, instead of something that could hover a little bit, but then would land awkwardly and then be stuck.
Yep.
Stupid bloody mate. But yeah, I have skimmed through the article, and they did say that the wildlife will have better AI.
Yeah,
which is good because it was at times some of the animals are a bit poor, but also daytime and nighttime.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that aspect particularly.
Which I think if you're after a particular animal to do an upgrade, say you're trying to get tree frogs or something to make a poison.
It's the element of realism.
It's that I want. I don't want it just to be you're in this area so there's chickens, or you're in this area and there's rats. Or it doesn't need that. What it needs to be is it feel like a living world that you're in, and that you're picking from to survive.
So that's what I'm looking forward to with it. But as I said, it's development, or in my eyes, it's development of existing ideas from the first one. And the way I read it, they're all quite positive, as you said.
And it's what a sequel should be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and one other thing that struck my eye reading the article, apparently a different developer will do the 360 version from the Xbox One. It'll be Nix's software doing the 360 version.
And then Crystal Dynamics
will stick with the Xbox One.
Which I think is important. They've done that with Forza Horizon 2. Turn 10 did the next gen, or the current gen version, and I think it was Sumo Digital did the last gen version. I think it is important. You can't compromise on a game to make it cross.
And that's exactly what it said in there. Yeah. Crystal Dynamics don't want to compromise on their vision for the next gen.
And you shouldn't. And this is, when the console's launched, part of the complaint for a lot of people saying I'm not going to upgrade is I've got this game on the 360. It's only just a bit shinier.
Yeah.
And
that was one of the things I think reading on title of Far Cry 4 was that the Xbox One version looked a lot shinier.
Yeah.
So your draw distances were better. Yeah. There was more going on, more wildlife around, more detail, which you would expect. But the 360 version was still a very playable game.
Yeah.
It just had slightly less sheen on the surface.
And that's it.
And the one that was a big difference, I think, of that era of crossover games was Shadows of Mordor, which was very different. But across the two.
FIFA 14.
But FIFA is still an inherently playable game.
Yeah.
I think on 360.
But the step, you can see the jump. Because
absolutely.
The emote engine. The emote engine?
I think that's what it's called. Whatever they decide to call it this year.
Yeah. So that kind of thing goes through. But what I do like about this thing is the details that are coming out are nothing to do with the plot.
No.
They're just, you know what? It doesn't matter what the story is. Because frankly, Tomb Raider stories are always a bit
teasing.
mental.
It's a nice teaser because they've said it will be in different environments. And they've mentioned Siberia. Yeah. So you get an idea of there'll be cold weather play, for lack of a better term. And as you said, there's the night and day stuff. Again, it's kind of teasing. This is what we're doing with the environment. But as you said, it doesn't matter. Give anything away.
That's the point. It doesn't matter what the story is at the moment, because if the story could be the best story in the world, but if the game's shit, it doesn't matter. So, it won't elevate it.
Yeah.
And The Last of Us, I would say, the detail is phenomenal. The story is great. The music is magnificent. The motion capture is astonishing. The actual gameplay, not so good. But it kind of gets kind of swamped by the fact that everything else is so good. With Tomb Raider, the story was great, the characters were great, the game was great. It just felt like it was now. It's in every word, every sense of the word reboot came through on it. It was a case of, you know what to expect from a Tomb Raider game. That's here.
Yeah.
But we also know what you expect from an Uncharted game, or from Far Cry, or from Assassin's Creed. We're going to put elements of that in as well. So with this, I mean, it looks now like they've said, right, we've established our new franchise opportunity. Now let's do the game we want to do. Yeah. And that's brilliant.
It is. And they've kind of set up the very basics of what's going on with the teaser. This is your overarching story. Yeah. They've teased that a little bit of that. This is what else we want to develop. And then they're basically going to leave people salivating, waiting until, I think, Christmas time.
Well, that's
holiday season, as they call it. So,
which, is nice. A nice polite way of saying to the Jewish people, Christmas. So, while we talk about Far Cry 4, I've got a copy of Far Cry 4 now, Rob.
Yay!
I've also not played it, but I have held it in my hand. I've not looked at
I've held it in my hand while I put it on the shelf, because obviously 4 in February takes priority right now.
Yeah, it has to. Basically, a friend of mine wanted to borrow Sniper Elite from me. I said, he wanted to buy it from the shop, but we didn't have it. So I said, well, I've got it, you just borrow mine. And he says, I was going to trade in Far Cry 4 for it. I said, well, I know somewhere where Far Cry 4 could go, because I've got the special edition box, I just don't have the game to put in it. And then we went out for a meal together, and he gave me the game, but he didn't ask me to pay for it. So I don't know if it's a loan, or I bought it, but I haven't paid him. And I was a little bit drunk. So I'm not entirely sure what's happened. So I've got a copy of Far Cry 4. He got you drunk
and gave you Far Cry 4.
So I'm also frightened of playing it in case he goes, I can't believe he's playing it. He hasn't even paid for that game. He just took it and then let us buy him a drink and then just wandered off with it. Just
drunk after his one
sat
drink.
with us for 4 hours, talking and entertaining us, and it was very funny. We went out for a meal at Wurzel's down the road.
Yep.
And you know when you go out with it, because like this couple we went out with, Emma works at the Lux.
Yep.
And it's her husband, and it was me and my partner. And they're new friends.
Yeah.
They're not people who knew me when I was married. They're not people who knew Claire when she was married.
Yeah.
They're not people who know my children. They just met me through work, and I met them through their work. And so we're out. I mean, you're like, how do you gauge that? Because I've got quite a big personality, and I have a slightly wrong sense of humour. And normally, I'll listen to someone for a couple of hours and gauge how they are, and then if I think it's appropriate, somehow that plan went out the window. Because as soon as I walked in, there was a high-backed armchair in the lounge area where we were waiting before we got seated. Now, there's a podcast with Richard Herring where he suggests that a high-backed armchair with a semicircular toilet mat is perfect for masturbation purposes. So I, of course, had to tell them why I was laughing at this chair, and then realised while I was doing it, there's a couple of children sat about 3 feet away.
Perfect.
Who was there, so I go, I could just sit here constantly, just wanking and wanking and wanking. They would all get caught on this mat in front of me. And then realise I was like, oh no, what have I done? Through the course of the night, we would talk about puppetry of the penis.
Okay.
The guys who mould their genitals. I don't know if you're aware of these people.
Yep, I've heard them.
Emma was going to see them.
Okay.
Ian, her husband, was a little bit unsure as to why Emma would want to go and see two men wrangle their genitals into the shape of a hamburger, for example. And she was trying to explain to me that they were on a stage. She wasn't just going into a room and they just drop their trousers and just go, oh, look at that, love. Like behind a little curtain or something.
Can you do a swan?
Open. And I mean, just imagine, though, if Puppetry of the Penis went for like the family market, they just came out with a sooty on their cock, just like twitching it with a hard on inside.
Well, that suit.
And I was going through and saying that would ruin that joke about what's that, sooty in a nude. That for people listening, I was doing the Vulcan salute, waving. It's a joke, but they know what the joke is. But so I was going through that. People on the table near us got asked if they could move.
Excellent.
Nobody said to me, look, you're awful, please stop. They just kept sort of edging away slightly. Within 3 hours, there's two halves to the restaurant. Our half was empty apart from us, and nobody was coming to take a drinks order from us. We had to keep waving at people going, can we have drinks, please? I'm sorry, I was funny. So yeah, it was a weird night. So I now have a kind of acquired Far Cry 4, but I don't know how. And I don't want to message him and just go, this Far Cry 4, what's the deal? Did you just give it to me as a gift? Have I borrowed it?
Maybe it's a tribute so you won't kill him. Or wank in his high-back chair.
Yeah, well, you could fuck off, because frankly, if you put me in a high-backed armchair and there's a semicircular toilet, that's your own fault. But yes, that was interesting. But it's not the only game I've been playing. Like, you'd think 4 in February, I should be playing the 4 in February games.
You'd think that.
But no. Something awful
Neither of our brains work like that.
Now, I thought XCOM would be the undoing of my 4 in February. Yep. I've not touched it.
Ooh.
I've not even touched the 360.
That's the most surprising part of the entire conversation.
I've been on another game. Ooh. Right, now this game came out, it's what the free games with gold.
Okay.
For instance, one. It's called hashtag
Yep.
IDARB.
Ooh.
I drew a red box.
Okay.
Now, what does that suggest to you?
You have to draw a red box.
No, not at all. No, that's not it.
Is it a blue box?
No. No, it's basically a mixture of Speedball 2.
Okay.
Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
I like Speedball 2.
Super Smash Bros. Brawl and Sensible Soccer mixed together. It's multiplayer, pixel characters, platform football, kind of zero-G football type thing. So you're jumping around and a ball drop in the middle and you all bundle for
Pile on.
And then you try and jump and kick it into this floating goal.
Okay.
That's it.
So it's a bit Quidditch as well.
It's got a bit of everything.
Okay.
Now, where it gets even better is it's multiplayer. So straight away you've got carnage going on like you would with Smash Brothers. Yep. You've also got the fact that you've got a brilliant narration.
Okay.
So it'll be like, oh, he's got a foot like a traction engine. and that's all Speedball 2.
Yep.
Like, that kind of brings in that element as well as the combat. You kind of hitting each other and jumping around. You can power up your shots quickly and then fire them. And then you get bonuses. If you bounce it off surfaces, it multiplies the score. So if you're inside the circle, you get 2 points.
Okay.
If you're outside, you get 3 points. But if you bounce it off 2 surfaces and then in, you'll then get 6 points.
Ooh.
So it's like, trying to pull off this amazing trick shot where you power it up and just boot it across. And of course, somebody could intercept it. It's insanely fast and brilliant. And then when I thought, sorry, I'll put it down for a bit. Then somebody told me you can design your own teammates. Ooh. So you have a little pixel creation thing.
Here we go. And
of course, you've seen on the internet, all these people do like little 8-bit Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. We can make all the Guardians for the Guardians of the Galaxy if you want. You can do the Avengers. You can do the Ghostbusters team. You can do whatever you want. And then when you finish making it, you think this couldn't possibly get any better, Bouncy. It got better. When you finish your team, it gives you a QR code you can share so other people can get the QR code and then have that team.
That's pretty cool.
So people who are really good at creating are now just chucking these
Spamming
QR codes out.
QR codes.
And everybody's just going, oh my God, it's non-IP IP. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, and you can record. You've got like a. Do you remember on the old Nokia phones? You could put in what notes you wanted the phone to play for a ringtone.
Yes. Oh yeah. Hours of fun there.
They've got that.
Wow,
so you can make your own little kind of fanfare stuff.
You could kind of do that with Guitar Hero as well, couldn't you? At one point,
you could, yeah. And so it's basically that. So now people are going like, well, there's the Ghostbusters team for their logo. We'll do the Ghostbusters logo, and then we'll have the Ghostbusters theme as their music. Oh my God! Like so, all the time. I should have been playing games before in February. I was just jumping around this arena, kicking things around while pretending I was Han Solo. Beautiful. Such a beautiful game. And you know what? It's one of those games that, when it was announced as a free game, people went, fucking hell, Microsoft giving out another load of indie game bullshit. Well, they were right to give it away. Yeah. Because it is glorious. To the point that if you own an Xbox One and don't have this game installed on it permanently, you clearly have no friends, no joy, and no life. And not an Xbox One, obviously, because it's free. I mean, there's no excuse not to download it, but people seem to just go, ugh. It's not even got a name, it's just a hashtag. Yeah. Well, the brilliant thing is when you talk about it, it immediately creates a hashtag online. You don't even have to hashtag the hashtag because the name's got a hashtag.
It's already there.
Oh, loved it. Absolutely loved it. My kids came in, they played it, they could just pick it up. Within 2 seconds, you know how to play the game. Like, you might not excel at it, but you don't even have to shoot the goal. You can literally just jump into the goal with the ball, and that will score you some points.
Nice.
So my youngest was just hopping around, jumping.
He just wanted to score with himself.
And then I went downstairs. Ian paused it, kept playing it. He did that proper thing that you do when your mate goes off and you go, fuck him. Oh dear. Oh, it's 500-0. Yeah. Well, I do apologise. I don't know what happened. It's brilliant, and I'll be talking about that more every single week for the rest of my life, no doubt, because it's
nothing to do with the podcast, just in general. The bus stop. Excuse me.
Yeah. Hello, Latvian man getting the bus to work. Hello. Have you heard of #IDARB? No, what is this game you are talking about? I see, you knew it was a game. You're quite canny for a Latvian. Not that I'm saying that Latvians aren't canny. I don't know what canny means, but now you're talking like you're from Newcastle because you said the word canny with a weird accent.
And it turns out he's in the witness protection programme.
Turns out it's Paul Gascoigne.
Lucky you had those chicken nuggets and that fishing rod with you.
It's it. But no, it's a glorious game, and it has resulted in, unfortunately, me stumbling a little bit towards my 4th February.
I stumbled as well.
What did you stumble on?
Usual Destiny. and Football Manager, to be fair. Mm-hmm. Neymar the Submariner has fired me to the top of the league, but I won't bore people with that because they all know that I've got Neymar the Submariner playing for Peterborough United. Which is the wonder of Football Manager because that would never happen in real life.
It would never happen.
He could buy Peterborough, but he wouldn't because why would he do that?
As we said before recording, I asked you about why would I play it because I just don't understand it. And you said you have passing interest. You got more of an interest in Peterborough United on the game than you have Peterborough United.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In real life, and I said more people have got more interest in Peterborough United on the game than Peterborough in general.
In general, this is true. So, but yeah, Destiny has been a permanent fixture for me for a while, as we've discussed again many times before. But there has been some news on the next DLC this week.
Explain, because I do not know anything about this news.
The House of Wolves has been announced as the next DLC. Yeah, exactly. So this is no secret that the House of Wolves is the name of the next one. Yeah. some details leaked. I saw it on Eurogamer. It's hit other sites since then, IGN and so forth.
Is it Leonardo DiCaprio as a Wall Street banker?
It is.
House of Wolves on Wall Street.
That's the correct answer.
Yes! Gotta get £100 for my book.
Basically, you have to headshot 100 corrupt bankers.
But he was one.
He's the final boss.
Shoots himself.
So he's got double shield.
He'll just throw himself out the building
And
at
the
the
end of game armour you get is actually just a nice Versace suit.
Or have you seen Wolf of Wall Street?
I have.
Or just loads of banknotes
Just loads of
stapled to
banknotes
somebody.
stapled to them. And your helmet is just a cocaine-stained face. You don't have a helmet on, it's just you've got a nosebleed and cocaine everywhere.
And one of your powers is just throwing Jonah Hill at people.
That's it. That's the heavy weapon.
You
launch Jonah Hill out of a shoulder cannon.
I think you might be jesting. What's it actually about, Rob?
Well, the leaks suggest it relates to, as people who've played the game, the Fallen who are associated with the Queen of the Reef. Now, you've played the campaign, so I'm sure you remember the Queen.
Queen of the Reef.
Other people may remember the Queen's Wrath event that they had many moons ago now. I don't know why they brought that back, because a lot of people quite liked the Queen's Wrath.
So I didn't see the Queen's Wrath. I'm
I
guessing she was angry.
It was an event, so there was bounties. Go and
went,
kill, pretty much, yeah.
Oh, is that the one where
she, go
I
and
do
kill
remember
this,
that.
go and do that.
I do remember
go
that
and
now.
do this. And all that sort of thing. And like many of their events, it was just some slightly different bounties surrounded by a theme. Iron Banner is obviously the most common one in the multiplayers. There's been Eris Morn keeps handing out bounties now. She's tied to the Crota's End.
Yes, yeah,
DLC.
I've been getting some from her. And actually, even though I haven't got DLC, I'm able to do some of the missions, which is quite nice.
That was quite cool. As we said about before with things like the public events.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able that these things are accessible to everyone.
It's made me want the DLC.
Good.
Which I did... Well, no, it's made me want DLC more than I did.
Yeah.
Obviously, I want DLC, because everybody wants the complete game. But it kind of gave me a tease into this world of what it was. And when the public event stuff for the Crotus thing, when the sword appears and you can get the relic and all that kind of thing, it was just quite cool. It was like, oh, that's what sort of thing I can expect. Plus some absolutely bastard hard content. So, yeah.
See, I don't enjoy the Crota's End raid.
Is it because it's just hard?
It's a massive clusterfuck.
Yeah.
It's just running for your life or taking on this mental horde of super-powered hive enemies. I don't mind a challenge. I haven't got a problem with that.
No.
It's why I love games like Ninja Gaiden and people love games like Dark Souls and so forth. But
And you're an ice hockey goalkeeper.
Wow.
So, you're used to things like coming at you at high speed and being threatened. So you're clearly not frightened.
But it was just
need more padding in the game.
maybe it just too. I don't.
Stick.
Overawing is the wrong word, but it didn't flow nicely.
No.
Just as I say, it was a massive clusterfuck. Of just some stages, I just keep firing and hope they don't hit you back. And that's not a lot of fun always. Sometimes you want a bit of structure.
That
to
is
things
what
like
war is.
It is, but as you said, sometimes you want a little bit of structure.
Yes.
And a little bit of smoother flow between.
Do you think, though, it's made for teams at a very high level and have played together so much that they're at the point where they pick up on each other's weaknesses? Or do you think it doesn't matter what level you are?
Maybe. Well, I did Crota's End with the Flares, who obviously I play with quite regularly, and a couple of other friends of theirs. So there was, I want to say 5 of us. I think we ended up with a 6th by the end.
Right.
But we did it with, I said, 4 or 5 of us from the start. And I'm probably, well, hands down, I'm probably the weakest one on the group. I'm level 30 now.
Right.
And yeah, I guess there's an element of you get to know who can do what well, and Synaptic Flare's got the Hunter, so he can use the invisibility to his advantage and sort of sneak through bits and sneak round on people. So you can use that element of teamwork still.
Yeah.
Which is, I know, what a lot of people loved about the raids.
Yeah.
And also why so many people scratch their head saying, well, why do you lock the first raid behind level 26?
Yes.
Because it's the best part of the game.
Yeah.
Even the clusterfuck this Crota's End, that team element, you can't fault that.
No.
You have to work as a team. Even if you're very gung-ho, you have to be gung-ho together, otherwise those 1 or 2 people just get wiped out and the rest of you just
one of the
standing
reasons
there.
why I should never get the DLC.
Maybe.
Because I just would run in and then constantly be needed reviving.
I don't run in. I've always been a standoffish at the back, pick people off with the sniper rifle type. I still get wiped out a lot because I'm rubbish.
I'm just one of those people that runs in, shouts, Your mum's a slag. And then just fires
an AI wizard who can't actually hear
I did whenever I fight that tank. I think I talked about this before, where I jumped on top of the tank, punched it, and danced, and it exploded. And the other day I did that same mission again, and I was chatting to the people in the room, and they were having a laugh, no joke, and I'd won them over with my charm.
Yeah.
And I just ran up to it, pulled out a shotgun, shot it in the face, it exploded, and I went, "Take that, you twat!" Guy with me. Well, immediately, friend requested me. It was just like, I've had to friend request you. While that explodes, I'm just going to go and friend request you because I want you on my list. And I was like, list of what? People to avoid in general population. Because if I know he's online, I can go out in the street and I'll be fine. But yeah, I do tend to just shout abuse at characters that have no idea. And yet, weirdly, Dead Rising, Alien Isolation, stuff like that, if I shouted it, it does interact with the game with the Kinect camera. I would like it if in Destiny they went, "You call my
shitty zombies."
Yeah. There's a little, like one of those knights. When I go, "You think you're a knight?" Ugh. I saw a knight with both his legs and arms chopped off, and he still said he'd bite my knees off. You're rubbish. You just dissolve into dust, sparkly dust, like a vampire.
Then he gave him a shrubbery, and he was like, "Ooh, I don't know what to do now."
No. Well, so what else do we know about this DLC?
Allegedly, it's out on the 19th of May, which is a Tuesday, which would make sense with Bungie's normal tactic of doing everything on a Tuesday.
Yep.
So that's the alleged date. Again, Bungie
is that because Bungie doesn't like Mondays?
Well, Bob Geldof is clearly infiltrating Bungie slowly.
Bungie, Bob, Geldof, G, Bungie, Bob, G, Geldof.
I think we're stretching for this one.
Anyway, carry on.
The alleged date is a Tuesday, which makes sense. It's when their weekly reset happens. It's when the game came out. It's when the last DLC came out. As I said, it seems to centre around the Queen's Fallen, should we call it. And apparently they've basically rebelled, is the gist of
that's
the storyline.
What people, the underclass do with royalties involved.
And just look at Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey and Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yeah.
And Baron Greenback. In Danger Mouse, his people under him didn't always do what he did. Croc and the robot thing in Pink Windmill with Emu.
Little Mai in the Moomins.
Exactly. Carry on.
So that's the gist of the story. I personally, the Fallen are my favourite nemesis, so I'm quite looking forward to this one.
See, I have an issue with the Fallen because I think of Transformers every time, and that was the one voiced by. Oh God, who voiced the Fallen now? I can't remember who it was. But that was the rubbish bad guy in the rubbishest of all the rubbish Transformers films.
That's saying something as well.
And whenever they say the Fallen, I just think, is that naughty Transformer again? And they do look a bit like Transformers.
Yeah, I can see where you get that from. So anyway, that's coming, apparently. One thing I noticed from the leaked screenshot, which had some details of the House of Wolves, a new Fallen Warlord resides, blah, 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 and it mentions what the pack's going to contain, effectively. So, I'll start at the bottom. Hundreds of new weapons, armour and gear. Well, that's no surprise, because we got new weapons, armour and gear in Crota's End, which is fucking ugly. I hate it.
Hundreds of new weapon, armour and gear.
Yep.
Hundreds of new weapons, armour and gear.
Allegedly.
Hundreds of armour.
Hundreds of armour.
Not pieces of.
Nope. Hundreds of new weapons, armour and gear.
That's awful. They should sack whoever wrote that.
There we go. So that's why Bungie say things might change, which is our grammar. 3 new Crucible maps and new Fallen Strike. Well, again, a new Strike came in before. New Crucible maps, not a surprise.
So the strikes, are they like when you go back and fight a boss in the game? Yeah, okay, right, I remember now.
The bit that caught my eye, maybe me being paranoid, it's quite possible. New Awoken storyline plus an exclusive raid. Now, this could go one of 2 ways.
Right.
It could be my paranoid mind, which noticed that the screenshot had the PlayStation buttons at the bottom.
Okay.
Is it square for purchase, the round one? Or was that circle? I can never remember on PlayStation.
It's square, I'd imagine. Circle's
usually and then the X for cancel.
Okay. X for cancel?
X for cancel.
Surely X would be select.
But that's what they've gone with.
That's even weird.
So I don't know if I'm just reading too much into a screenshot.
They need to change that as well.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm reading too much into that, where they say an exclusive raid, because there was an exclusive strike for the PlayStation with Crota's End.
So it could be exclusive to the PlayStation or exclusive to the DLC.
Exactly. So I don't know. As I say, maybe it's just me being paranoid and going, "Oh, they get an exclusive."
What I can say from an industry insider point of view as well, sometimes when you talk about an early build of something, it's never really based on a console. It's usually running from a PC.
Yep.
And then they have whatever.
They have the dev kits. And all
so I played Joe Danger, for example, at Eurogamer on the PlayStation 3 using a 360 controller, and all the buttons on screen were 360 prompts.
Yep.
Because it was easier for
so
them
again,
to make that
it could just be a promotional screenshot, placeholder.
Yeah.
And
I'm reading too much into
it, which I will hold my hands up and say maybe I'm reading.
The fact they've got the X button as a cancel has me immediately thinking that that's a bit odd.
It's just a placeholder.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's definitely an X.
It just caught my eye, and as I say, I very briefly glanced at it when the news broke on my lunch break, and I was like, "Ooh, what's going on here?" Then
it is definitely interesting. I mean, we know it's on the way. We know it's going to have to be out soonish. Anyway.
Well, they've said the raid will be in the currently unexplorable reef area, which obviously you go to in the campaign, but that's about it.
It would be nice to be able to explore in there, because I did think when I went there, because it's only cutscenes, isn't it?
It is, and it feels like there's a lot of potential with all the
it's on the map
abandoned ships
as well. It's not like it's just a cutscene; it is there on the map, mapped away, sitting there in the bit.
And everybody's kind of looked at it ever since and like, they've got to do something with that.
Yeah,
what are they going to do? They can't just leave and not do anything.
I'd also like a turret-based meteor shoot 'em up level, like in Shadows of the Empire on the N64. Where you just, because it's in a bit of an asteroid belt thing, isn't it? So that'd be quite good. It won't happen, but
and one other thing I noticed, the arena, House of War's expansion. Not much details on this. A few people have speculated whether this is Destiny's version of Horde mode in Gears of War.
Could be,
which would be interesting. The arena, the reef, asteroid belt. It doesn't tell you a lot. That's just a description of name where it is.
Yeah,
but it's also got the raid logo. Looking at the screenshot, so maybe that just happens to be the arena is the place, and it's where the raid is. Like Vault of Grass, Vault of Grass on Earth, and Vault of Glass on Venus.
You're thinking about Lawnmower Man again.
I know. I always do that.
That ruddy film.
Well, I did make my awoken character like Pierce Brosnan. So.
Well, that's your own fault then.
That's my own fault.
Serves you right.
But yeah, I'm interested to see how this develops out. And Bungie have said neither confirmed nor denied, as they wouldn't.
No,
because I don't want to say too much at this point, because it's not supposed to get till May. So obviously, if you ruin the surprise now, it kind of ruins everything.
No one wants it ruined.
No one wants that. No one likes a premature congratulator.
No. Well, either way, we shall soon know. I'm sure they'll announce quite quickly now that this has been leaked. They'll probably come out with something official.
They'll give a carrot
or confirm it themselves.
They'll put the carrot out there to keep people chasing it.
Because I mean, the trailer for Crota's End, was quite a good tease.
It was,
and there was basic bits of information leaked about that before, and then they came out and went, here's this 4-minute long video that will show you all these different things, and so I would look forward to something, because it's definitely more interesting as a story, because it is set in that different area. I'm quite
well, as I said, I'm more of a Fallen fan than a Hive fan. And I'm hoping for better options with the gear. They're talking about, as we kind of both went, hundreds, eh? I hate the look of the Crota's End raid gear. It's fugly.
I saw that word you put on the running order. I was tempted to edit it and just say, look, call it fucking ugly or ugly.
It's fucking ugly.
Fugly makes it sound like they're really kind of
I just don't
loutish fur-lined boots.
What annoys me about it is that you can buy all these shaders of all these different multicoloured bits of kit, and then they give you the ugly ass armour. But if you want to achieve the higher levels, you have to use it.
You have to,
So you're kind of hamstrung.
It's like working for McDonald's and having to wear those brown shirts they have to wear. Yeah, just have to. It's just the way.
It's because they've conquered the deep fat fryer.
Go! Gotta keep this up. I'm on my game today. It's not over. Ready for more?
Hello listeners, Mark here, Xbox Live Silicam, and welcome to Mark's Minute. This week's topic, digital distribution on the consoles. Background about myself, I like my multiplayer games to be digital, and I like my single players to be physical for that sweet, sweet trade-in when I finish the campaign. Now, in the US, you can buy a game for $60 on release day. I'm talking on the console store, I'm talking a GameStop, I'm talking a Walmart. In the UK, your retail is usually around $45, but yet on the online stores, we are paying £50 to usually £55. That is a £10 markup for the luxury of having it digital. Now, I hate having to change disc, but do you know what I hate more? Having my pants pulled down by the console maker just because they can get away with it. If you want to make games on the digital stores in parity price with retail, then fine. Same as in the US, they pay $60.60, we should pay $45.45. 55 is a joke. So, let me know what you guys think about this. Tweet myself, tweet Rob, and tweet Bouncy. I'll catch you next week.
I've had a board game night at my shop.
Oh, yes.
So that was also game related. And this isn't just a video game podcast.
No. We said that in the introduction, that we would deviate into
anyone
gaming as
well, I think last week we spoke for 45 minutes about comic books. Proves quite clearly we're not just video games. But yeah, so basically, in my shop we sell CDs and books and collectibles and video games and films, a lot. But we don't sell board games. But we have sold board games. And we've sold card games, we've sold dice games, but we don't have them on the shelf. And the reason is, nobody really walks in and goes, excuse me, if you've got a copy of Sheriff of Nottingham, please. And I'll go, no, I haven't, sorry. And then they walked out, and then I thought, I really should get a copy of Sheriff of Nottingham.
The problem is with some people around here, if they ask you for the Sheriff of Nottingham, they actually mean Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves on DVD. They go, yes, here you go. No, that's not Kevin Costner.
No, well, that's old Alan Rickman. They probably just wanted Alan Rickman.
You got Alan Rickman. Yeah, he's just in the basement. I was going to get him.
But so we thought, well, the best way to gauge how much interest there is to hold a board gaming night.
Yep.
And one of our customers, Darren, White Spider 1066, I think he is on Twitter, if you want to give him a follow, he said, do you know that there's a charity event thing, international, global pandemic party? And I said, no, I didn't know about this. So basically it's a game. Thank you very much for the Coke there. Coca-Cola. We're in a basement of a shop. Doesn't mean that after work every week. Hopefully that'll pick that pouring noise up, and then I'll know we're definitely not doing illicit drugs in a basement.
That or we're doing Coke where you piss on the floor of your own shop.
I've done that a few times. Once at the top of the stairs, I missed a bottle. No, I didn't. I did. So he basically said, there's this game called Pandemic where you have to stop a disease spreading, and people are playing it and then donating money afterwards to Doctors Without Borders, or Médecins Sans Frontières, as I prefer to say, because that's A, its name, and B, a bit sexy. And they're fighting Ebola. So we figured, let's get on. Let's get on that. Let's help it out. So we set it up, and I think about 10, 11 people turned up and played along, which was great. We lost miserably. We had a kid in, Aidan his name was.
Was he a ringer? They brought him in specially?
We were doing really well. Then he left. The world went to hell. It was like he was the wonder cure.
Yeah.
What happened was we hadn't been playing it properly. We'd misread one of the rule sets.
Okay.
So the idea is you go around and you cure a disease by wiping out all the colours on the map. And then you've cured it. And then it can re-emerge, but after that, because you found a cure, you can just go into the city and remove all the coloured pieces for that disease. We didn't read that bit. So we would then you get 4 turns per turn. So it was like take 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, move to the next one. What we could have done is move on, take all the blocks off, move on, take all the blocks off, move on.
Okay.
And instead we were wasting a lot of our time.
Okay.
So within 3 turns, the whole of Asia had a massive, great big outbreak. Yep. Whole of Australia got taken over. Then he went after London. I got really annoyed. I went, no. So I said, sod Africa, frankly. And what was hilarious is the disease in the Africa region is black tokens. So every time somebody went, I'm going to Africa to eradicate the blacks, I'd go, you racist! You can't say that.
Itself up for
And do you know, it doesn't matter how many times I did the joke, they kept saying it. It's like they wanted me to say it.
Goad you.
But yeah, so I basically stayed in Europe, and every time the disease came near London, I did like Dad's Army. Just went, no, bugger off. Who do you think you're kidding, Mr. Disease? And we lost, but we really enjoyed it. So I immediately ordered myself a copy of the game.
Excellent.
A couple of customers also did the same, which was nice. Then we played a few rounds of Zombie Dice, which is a very, very simple game with what is called a push your luck mechanic.
Yep.
Didn't know this existed in the world. They explained it to me far more complicated than was necessary.
Yep.
They could have just said...
I'll say you explained it to me before we recorded last week's podcast.
It's just
extremely
blackjack.
simply,
It's blackjack. You stick or twist. You roll the dice, and obviously I've explained it to you, but the listeners I haven't. You've got 3 outcomes from rolling a dice. You've either eaten a brain, because you're a zombie, if I hadn't said that. You eat a brain, the person escapes, or the person shoots you. If you get shot 3 times on your round of rolls, you lose all the braids you collected. Okay. If you bank them, it moves around, but then the person next might roll more and win. So it's that kind of how far do you trust your rolling. Yeah. So we played that. It was very, very quick. Not the most in-depth or challenging game, but it was a good one for the end of an evening, and it'd be really good when drunk.
Yeah.
I've ordered Thulu dice, which is the same maker, Steve Jackson Games, and that's a big, chunky dice, really nice dice. And you basically roll and you lose your sanity. So it gives you a bag of marbles, and if you lose all your marbles, you go mad. And you still keep playing until there's an ultimate winner. But it's a very good little game. So we got that.
Simple but effective.
I've also been playing with the children. Splendor, not just in the park with a football or anything. So Splendor, which is another. This is like a resource management game with victory points. And so you go around and in your turn you can take either 3 different gems or 2 of one pile of gems if there's more than 4 on the pile. And then there's a set of cards and you use those resources to buy the card, and the card will then help you get more resources. And it's set kind of in the 1500s by the look of it. And yeah, it's just, I didn't think the kids would be into it because it's not very, and I'm going to use the word sexy, but in the sense of, we've also got Marvel Legendary, which is a great big card game fighting supervillains. I've got Zombie Dice, where you're a zombie eating brains. This is collecting gems to buy like a trading port or something. It's not the greatest of sexy, exciting games. They absolutely loved it. The first 2 games, my kids completely destroyed me. They just absolutely destroyed me. I was going easy on them a little bit, but they really did get in for it. So definitely going to be doing more of that. And just as a general, I'm now massively into board games again. So we're going to be hosting a monthly games night. We've spoken to a local cafe that said that we can basically use their base from 6 o'clock onwards. And so we'll have like a 4 or 5 hour long period of time where really seasoned players can play something quite complicated, and new people to it can play something a bit simpler and get used to the ways of it. And hopefully we'll build a community of people who then can meet on their own.
Have you played Ticket to Ride?
It's on my list of ones to try. A friend of mine has got it.
Emma's got it. My partner Emma's got it. She loves it.
Yeah, it's, again, a lot of these games, when you actually explain them badly, they sound like the worst thing in the world. When I Ticket to Ride, you just put pieces on a route.
Yeah, you're basically trying to go from London to Moscow with your coloured train carriages.
Yeah, which doesn't sound very fun.
But that's the simplest way to explain it.
And that's the point, is very often these games are, you go along and you play them. And that's what we're trying to do with this group.
I think the good thing with Ticket to Ride, if you get a group, it's good as well. Because obviously you're competing for tracks.
Well, this is
spaces on the board. We played at Christmas with Emma's brother, Alex, when her dad and him came up to visit us. It wasn't so good with just the 3 of us, because you've got a lot more open space. So although there was a little bit of crossover. Yeah. But when there's only 3 of you, there's also a lot more open tracks to get round things. Yeah. So you can say, I'm less stuck than I might be if there was an extra 4th, 5th, maybe 6th person. So.
And this is it. I mean, when we set up the first night, the big game we played was Pandemic, which was a co-op game. So we were all working as a team. Because the thing is, some of them they'd never met each other. They all knew me. I was like the constant. And we had one lad, completely new to the area, had been on Facebook, to a local page on Facebook, saying, is there anything game related going on? And actually, my boss noticed it, messaged back, and there's a game tonight, come along. And he turned up, Pokemon t-shirt, Sonic the Hedgehog hat. But really nice lad. I can't remember his name. Josh, maybe? I don't know. Everybody got on, we played the co-op game, we sort of mocked each other when we turned a bad card. You're like, oh God, you've ruined it for everyone. But it was good. So hopefully the new ones will be able to start doing competitive. But I didn't want it to immediately be, hey, new guy, you ruined, you're useless.
You ruined everything. Splitter.
Yeah. So we're now selecting the games for the first kind of next big one. And we've got, when the Avengers Age of Ultron comes out, we're actually doing a Marvel Games Night. So it'll be all video games and board games and card games and dice games and stuff. Awesome. So it should be quite fun. So if you're listening and you find any of these kind of talk of board games interesting, and you're not too far away from Wizardry, you're very welcome to come along. Just drop us a tweet at Wheel of Course for that, and we'll give you all the details. Or just message me directly, because most of you will be following me as well, or Rob.
Yeah.
Rob probably won't be organising it though, because it's my shop.
I can point him in the right direction.
Yeah, you can point in my direction. But I know we had a couple of listeners who were like, "Oh, I love Pandemic. If it was a different night, I'd have done it." So it won't change. It will always
If
be
there's
a
enough
Thursday.
interest, it's easy to organise more nights.
Yeah, this is it, and it's at the moment it's monthly, just because I'd rather have one really good one a month than 4 shit ones. Where you just play one small game, you've got a couple of hours, and nobody really gets into it. The idea is it goes through. What amazed me the most actually was for a bunch of strangers that had never met. The point was they had a certain common interest. This is what happens when you go to places like Eurogamer or Comic Con. You're thrust into a room with people you'd never know. And then suddenly you're like, hey, I like your jacket. Oh, thanks. I got it from there. Oh, I see your t-shirt. You go to QWERTY. Oh, I go to QWERTY. Oh, you got been buying it. Have you seen this? Have you got? Well, you bought a pop vinyl. I've got a pop vinyl. I've got this. There's you've got
my wallet. What?
You've got conversations almost pre-built. It's like in real life, you can only talk about the weather and know that the person next to you will also have an opinion on the weather.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that you can have as a universal. Whereas when you're at an event like this, you'll think, well, actually, I don't need to be conscious of the fact that I like playing board games, because these people are all paid to come and play board games as well. So, it was good. We raised over almost $70 when it got translated. I think it was about 50 quid at the time for the charity. So it was all good, and I've properly got a tabletop bug biting me. So I've been buying more, and hopefully we'll be able to report back in the future.
One game I always wanted to play, I couldn't remember the frigging name, that's why I just had to Google it. It was the card game from Battlestar Galactica.
Okay.
Because I love Battlestar Galactica. It's probably my favourite TV series of all time. And I
Right.
managed to get Emma into it as well, which I was surprised at. Not normally her thing.
No.
I put what was the mini-series, I made it into one long
I remember
feature
when you
length.
said...
And she was like, this is stupid. And I'm like, well, can I watch the end of it? All right then. So you can put on whatever after you sort of tip. And then she quite got into it. It's like, oh, actually, it wasn't too bad. So we watched the whole thing and she loved it. But I'd always wanted to play the card game, which is called Triad.
Okay.
And I'd forgotten that.
Right.
Thanks to the wonders of the internet, I managed to find out while we were talking about Pandemic.
It distracted me because you had just people...
Just randomly brought Battlestar Galactica
There's a
information
big
up.
picture of a woman taking the jacket off. As
Yeah,
well.
yeah, they changed clothes in
Which is-
Battlestar Galactica. I know they're at war, but people still change their clothes.
What are they talking about playing a card game? Is it
Distraction tactics.
Strip triad?
Distraction tactics. It's a bluffing game, you see. But yeah, I want to give that a go, so I might have to get a set of
But it says
Triad cards.
racetrack losing a hand. So I'm guessing she lost a hand and had to
Yeah,
take the
it's
shirt
got
off.
to cut it off. Yeah, no, it literally they strip the skin off your hand.
Oh,
That's extreme,
terrifying.
imagine. But yeah, I just would like to give that a go. So I might have
And
to get
has
a deck.
somebody made it as a
Yeah,
real game?
yeah, you can buy
Oh,
it.
there
I think you
go.
can buy the card sets on Amazon even. So they are available.
Maybe we'll have it at one of my game
Maybe.
nights. I'll see if anybody who's involved has got a set. If they have,
If anybody wants to talk about Battlestar Galactica, I'm always happy to talk about Battlestar Galactica.
so that'd be good.
Hello Interbums, hello Lolacoasters, hello Information Super B-Day, and hello to everyone out there on the worldwide willy. Dalek Sex here, and I'm about to fact you senseless about the crazy internet phenomenon that all the Utes are jiving about, the Nintendo Creators Club. Yeah, fresh, relevant, have that PewDiePie. Anyway, in my capacity as the voice of sex, songwriter, attorney at LOL, and app reviewer for We Are the Lolacost, of course I know what the difference between derivative work and transformative work is. It means that if you upload the new Game of Thrones trailer to your YouTube channel and generate a grand of ad revenue from it, then HBO is entirely within its rights to say, no, hang on, you didn't actually do any work here, we did. Whereupon Google will smack you bottom and give that money to HBO, its rightful owners, because the work is derivative. On the other hand, if you filmed a clever parody or skit based on Game of Thrones, the same argument could not be made. HBO could still ask to have your video pulled on the grounds that you used their characters without permission, but they couldn't say, well, we made Game of Thrones, therefore you haven't actually done any work at all here, and we should get paid all the money for your video, because the work would be transformative. Now, Nintendo claim derivative work on YouTube a lot, and not just on their Let's Players, you know, the people who film a game and talk bollocks over it for money. Nintendo actually target news videos and opinion pieces which use game footage that they themselves have released for journalists to use under fair use, public domain. They claim that because they invented Mario, if you make a video that talks about Mario, then they should get paid all the money for your work. So you can see that Nintendo already has a pretty shaky relationship with content creators. What they have done this week, though, has really shit in the trifle, and the internet is currently melting down with delicious drama accordingly. Nintendo has decided that you can make videos publicising Mario after all. All you have to do is join the Nintendo Creators Club. It works like this. You sign up, you agree only to use footage of Nintendo games and the Nintendo games on their approved whitelist, none of your filthy imports, thank you, and in return Nintendo will get paid for your video. They will then give you some of the money. This breaks down with Nintendo keeping 40% of the income from individual videos, or only 30% if you sign your entire channel over to talking about nothing but Nintendo's pre-approved list of safe games. Now, let's say you make a video that generates 100 quid's worth of ad revenue. Google keeps 50% to cover server costs. Then, if you work for one of the big networks like Machinima or ScrewAttack, they will take around 20 or 30%. Finally, Nintendo will only pay you in dollars using PayPal, so you'll be stuck with the transfer and conversion fees for that. So you might realistically see about 15 quid of your original 100. So, who's it going to hurt? Mainly little people. The big YouTubers who are making 6 to 8 figures can easily wave on the 2 or 3 games Nintendo make a year, and smaller content creators will simply no longer be able to afford to cover them. And let's not forget that this is going to hurt Nintendo too, because YouTube is the rock under which trust and credibility have scuttled. When Total Biscuit did a Let's Play of Thomas Was Alone, sales of the game went from doing alright to outselling Assassin's Creed overnight. We live in a world now where YouTubers drive sales, and one has to wonder how long Nintendo can continue to live in their bubble made of consumer goodwill before they piss it all away completely. Anyway, that's all from me. This week I'm going to be restarting my popular channel Sex Talks About Apps on YouTube, on my own account this time, now that the Gamescast has gone tits up, so look out for the first videos by following my Twitter account @TheVoiceOfSex. And now, back to the oppressively regular programme.
Right, well, that's done what games we've all been playing. Obviously, we've also, there's been a big game, the Superbowl.
I got really confused.
Or was really patronising people, keep making the joke, a superb owl.
Yeah.
And the British Museum had a picture of a Super Bowl that was quite good. And
I just said barn owl.
The only good thing I've seen come out of the Super Bowl, because I'm not into American football, I know people are. I know it's a big growing sport in the UK. They come in every September I'm down in London for Eurogamer. There's always a game in London
Wembley
a couple of weeks later.
Yeah.
So they usually do the big build up to it the weekend of Eurogamer. And so there's always like massive, like in just off Piccadilly, there'll be the whole street will be closed and have buses full of people, and you're like, you can see there's genuine excitement. I'm not into football. I'm definitely not into football it's like turn-based strategy football.
Hand egg.
Yeah. So obviously the big interest for me is Super Bowl promos.
Yep.
And I fucking love them because A, I work in a video game shop and movie shop, so I need to know the big films. But B, you always get these weird adverts that come out, and they're only ever produced for this massive market, and they put all out. So, like this year, did you see the Budweiser advert with the dog?
No.
Right. Basically, Budweiser hasn't got much of a good image, really. I associate it with people in muscle vests beating their wives.
It's more of a stellar association with me. I associate it with lots of gas and wind.
Most of those kind of non-crafty beers generally.
In fact,
I wouldn't say French people.
The thing I associate Budweiser with is frogs.
Frogs and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, this one they decided to put all that behind them, and they concentrate on the fact that
sacrificed a goat live on the Super Bowl.
They concentrate on the fact that buddies, you're my best bud, man. So there's a farmer who looks after horses, and he's got a little puppy, a little Labrador puppy. Oh, because I'm guessing they don't have Andrex in America. Because
it's probably called something else.
I wouldn't use that dog if I was making an advert here, because people would go, "Oh, it's an Andrex advert," and you'd give free advertising for a toilet roll. So the dog basically is friends with the horses, and then one of the horses is loaded into a trailer to go away. He's like, no, my friend's gone. So it runs in the trailer, but there wasn't a horse in the trailer. Then the trailer gets driven off with the dog in it, and it goes missing. So the farmer man or the ranch owners putting up signs saying, "You see my dog." And then it plays a bit on the Incredible Journey. Is it Incredible Journey?
Homeward
Fantastic
Bound?
Voyage. Homeward Bound. That's the one. Where he's sort of coming back, and then he's almost home, and he's all dirty, and he's all cold, and it's night time. And he can see the ranch, and then some wolves come out, and he's like, "Ah!" But the horses are kicking the door.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, these fucking wolves!" And then
Now's our chance to escape. Oh, wool!
and the puppy sat there looking at the wolves, and the wolves like kind of back up. The puppy looks around. There's all these Shire horses stood behind him, and the farmer was in there, and the dog's running down. The horse is running behind the dog, and he picks up his dog, and he's like, "Oh!"
And the horses kill him.
And he's an alcoholic, obviously, because it's a beer advert. But it was very sweet. And of all the the weirdest advert was one for a car that had a Viagra tablet dropped in the tank.
Okay.
And it was basically an old man.
That's saying some of the American adverts. I see a lot of them watching the hockey. When
It was
they say the American break.
I'm trying to remember what the car was. It might have been Fiat. I think it was Fiat. But basically, he goes to take a Viagra and he flicks it accidentally and he goes out the window and it kind of goes down the gutter and it bounces around low, hits a washing line. And it goes in the petrol tank of this car, which then kind of goes from the regular version to the new souped-up version.
Go gadget car.
So it's essentially, a car with a hard-on. Like, this is what an erect car looks like. Apparently, just rounder and less well-designed. But that was a very strange advert. A couple of films. They had Jurassic World.
Okay, folks, she's a little shy, so give her a hand when she comes out.
Eyes on me. Good.
We have a new attraction. Think it'll scare the kids?
This will give the parents nightmares.
You just went and made a new dinosaur?
Probably not a good idea.
It's killing for sport.
You got 20,000 people with nowhere to go.
We're going after it with everything we got.
We're safe in here, right?
He did.
Which had Chris Pratt, everyone's favourite Pratt, doing his crocodile hunter impression with some raptors, which made me go, oh! Because when I watched
he
the
might be
first
my new
trailer,
favourite actor.
him riding the motorbike with raptors, I did say, they're training the raptors! Look, he's training the raptors!
Yeah.
And now it's like, just in case you weren't sure, yes, he's trained the raptors, because he's a zoo, and that's what you would do. And that's just awesome, to know that they're intelligent enough to go, you know what, let's not eat him, because we'll keep getting fed. We'll perform some tricks. Like, I want a raptor with a top hat, a monocle, doing the hello my baby, hello my darling, hello my ragtime girl.
Or just selling peanuts to people.
Whatever, I don't care. But the whole trailer, basically, somebody criticised it and went, Jurassic World is just going to be one shit special effects monster movie. It's like, that's what Jurassic Park is. It's
What?
science and monsters. That's all it has to
What
be.
did they expect it to be?
And it's like, and it's got Chris Pratt, and he's able to ride a motorbike, and he's accompanied by raptors to go and fight a super dinosaur that's killing those people, and people are getting killed.
Yeah.
Pterodactyls swooping down. And
Yeah,
lifting
that
people
was
up.
my favourite bit,
It was
actually.
everything you wanted from a Jurassic Park film in one trailer.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah,
just.
don't bother going to see the films. Watch the
It was,
trailer.
it was a minute and 9 seconds, that trailer, and it got me so excited, I immediately had to go and have a wee. I was that. Now, I go to the
I'm
toilet.
just going for a wee, love.
I go to the toilet at most twice a day. That just forced a wee out of me. I was so like. I'm quite early on in a relationship, as you know. She was doing some work, she was talking to me, and the tweet came up.
Gone.
Superbowl trailer, and I just went, shh, put my hand on her mouth, and then held it up in front of us, and I thought, this could go one of two ways. Once this minute and 10 seconds is up, I need to take this hand away and maybe shield my face, or maybe just go, yeah, because she really likes Chris Pratt, and I really like dinosaurs. So both of them.
It's a good compromise, this film.
Yeah, we haven't got huge amounts in common, but Jurassic World looks like it might be something we are. And
Maybe you
also,
should start watching Parks and Rec.
I love it. She hasn't seen it yet.
But, see?
Well, she keeps saying that
Oh,
sometimes.
I'm a bit like Cupid. Ooh.
Sometimes I'll stand there and I'll be like, and she'll go, oh, you look a bit like Chris Pratt there. I went, no, I look more like Chris Pratt in Parks and Rec when he was fat and goofy. Like that. Have you seen the one where he goes to the hospital because he gets insurance? So he goes and has every test done at the hospital. That's me.
I like the pool when he tries to hustle Mark at pool in season 1. How to hustle somebody at pool. Step 1, find the person you want to hustle. Step 2, challenge them to a game of pool. And then he loses pretty brutally.
It's so good. That whole series is very, very good. Everybody, including Jerry and whatever is it Terry? Oh, he changed his name, doesn't he, towards the end?
Yeah.
And they find out it's not his real name, isn't Jerry. But then they start calling him something else, which is also not his own name. He's got an unfeasibly attractive wife for a man who's obese and farty. The one where they jump out and frighten him and he farts and has a heart attack. It's just great. So if you're listening and you haven't seen Parks and Recreation, do so. It's great. It was on BBC 4 over here, which was a shame. It should have been given... I mean, BBC 4's a great channel, but it's never going to find an audience for a comedy show.
It's the last series on in America at the moment,
it is. Tragically. I am illegally downloading them, or legally, because it's not available here yet. And I am going to be sad. Ron Swanson is my hero.
Yeah.
I also... Parks and Rec was originally going to be a spin-off of The American Office. And so... Rashida Jones was going to be the character from The Office that she played, and it was just going to be her living. Yeah. And so it's same production, same filming style. So I loved The American Office. I loved this. I'm now watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is the same production company. And at the end of every episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the actor who plays Ron Swanson, Nick Offerman, goes, "From Yolande." And I go, oh, it's Nick Offerman's lovely voice. So, he's got a fine moustache. And a psychopath of an ex, Tammy too, is a fine series. But anyway, back to the trailers.
Yeah.
So we watched Jurassic World trailer, and there was a few of us that came out that weren't great. Ted, for example.
Yeah.
There's nothing really needed there. It's going to do really well.
Yeah.
But
they tied that in with the Super Bowl because obviously it had Tom Brady from the New England Patriots in it. So it's
perfect
like,
spiral.
Oh, look. Yeah, exactly. It was just the whole thing. It's like, Tom Brady, Super Bowl.
See, this is the thing. I don't like it when they make a Super Bowl trailer that is tied to the audience for Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that audience. So Tom Brady...
But I think that worked because
I thought? When they said Tom Brady, I thought of a member
Brady
of the Brady
bunch.
Bunch. So all I was thinking was couldn't have been the dad, because he'd be far too old now. So it must be one of the kids, like Greg. And I don't want them wanking off Greg Brady. Even if Marsha's just over the hall, you can look at her while doing it, and then someone throws American football and it breaks her nose, then it would have worked. Brings me nicely onto the Snickers advert. Did you see that?
I've hardly seen any of them.
This one's amazing. So
I've looked at the stuff like Jurassic World.
Yeah, so Snickers, you've seen the You're Not You when you're hungry. You're a proper diva when you're hungry. Then they have the Mr. Bean Ninja. They've gone all out. Like the Brady Bunch.
Yep.
Marsha having a strop. She's got an axe.
Yep.
She's going to kill a family member because they threw a football at her nose.
Yep.
Danny Trejo. Delivering Marsha's lines.
Excellent.
Slamming an axe into the coffee table while the original footage is there. Then who plays the younger relative? Steve Buscemi. That's incredible. It is just incredible. It makes no sense whatsoever, but it doesn't have to. Because you watch it and you just think, oh my God. Like, Danny Trejo, if it's just been Danny Trejo, that would have been hilarious. But then Steve Buscemi going, Marsha, Marsha, Marsha at the top of the stairs is just perfect. But there was the one show that really threw me off was Clash of Clans. Now, Clash of Clans is this free-to-play app. I don't know if you ever played it.
I have. I got bored of it.
Yeah, I don't really like it. My kids adore it. I do like the adverts they've been doing, like the CGI animated. And so there was one of those started, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, why is everybody saying this is so brilliant? I mean, they're good, they're funny, but...
The adverts are probably better than the game.
Well, this one, it's like you've been defeated. It pulls out, it's Liam Neeson in a coffee shop. And he starts going,
I don't know you, big buffet boy 85. But if you think you can humiliate me and take my gold, think again. Oh, I am coming for you with lots of barbarians and dragons. I can't wait to destroy your village while you beg for mercy. But you will get no mercy. I will have my revenge.
Liam? Have a scone for Liam?
Over here. It's, Liam. You will regret the day you crossed Angry Neeson 52.
Angry Neeson 52. hang on a second. Like we talked. I don't know if we talked. I know we've put the article on about Kate Upton getting like 40 million for doing the adverts.
Yeah.
She was in a Superbowl ad as well.
She was. I saw the promoted tweet, but it's just like,
and it's like, hang on, Liam Neeson is advertising for a free-to-play app.
Yeah.
Like this is a new age for us. Like having Kevin Spacey in a video game, that's good, right? But
bear in mind we've had Johnny Rotten advertise butter.
Yeah, but that's
not that much of a leap.
But
anymore.
that's shit. This Liam Neeson one was amazing. It made me want to play Clash of Clans. And I've played Clash of Clans and didn't like
they
it.
had Chuck Norris doing World of Warcraft and Mr. T.
And they were good as well. And like it's just this weird thing, but like Liam Neeson is a huge... I mean, it's not just like an actor. This is somebody who is obviously performing his Taken role. You know, so it's like playing on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great fun. So if you're listening at home and you haven't seen them, we'll probably put more onto a post on. I'll put them on the post on the website for them.
There are some good stuff in there.
There is.
Even just the little bit of sounds to the Jurassic World one. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Some of those little additions
just
ramp up
the
excitement.
theme tune being played slowly.
Yeah.
It's everything was there. Everything's what I think Jurassic Park. The problem it had was it was the early 90s. CGI only really didn't go for a couple of years.
For that era though, that was stunning.
So it was at that point where they needed the practical effects to be the big seller.
Yeah.
And then the CGI would fill the rest out. Now we're at a point where the CGI can be incredible, but they're still going to be using practical effects, which is...
So there's one or two, in the trailer, there's one or two nods, not just beyond the music.
No.
So there's originally like the kids in the car.
Yep, and the sick dinosaur that's been attacked.
There's little nods to that, but yeah, it's interesting. One thing with Clash of Clans, it got a bit sinister for me when I logged in one day, because obviously people will attack your village, and it will come up saying, you've been conquered by these people. One day I logged in, you've been conquered by Israel. Do
you want to fight back?
No. That escalated quickly.
Well, you did call yourself West Bank. West Bank! Anyways, right, so while we were kind of talking about Superbowl, we did have a chat pre-writing the running order, and I did say no comic book talk this week, unless Marvel put out a trailer for Daredevil, which won't happen. And then they fucking did. Fucking Daredevil, ruining my plans to not talk about it. We watched the trailer together, or a teaser, all 1 minute 20 seconds of it. Juddery, because the internet here is so poor. Thoughts?
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I watched at least 3/4 of the first season of Arrow, and then it kind of ran out of steam a little bit for me. Now, it still intrigues me. Do I pick Arrow back up again? I watched the trailers for The Flash. Intrigued me, but am I once bitten, twice shy because of losing interest in Arrow? And I feel the same a little bit about Daredevil. It's intrigued me. It's aroused my interest. Has it aroused me enough to... Well, the bigger thing for me, has it aroused my interest enough to sign up for Netflix to watch?
And this is it. It's behind a pay barrier.
Yep.
This is. I mean, obviously we've talked about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. being brilliant because it was on Channel 4. Peggy Carter
is nowhere at the
moment.
moment.
So that's an issue. Arrow is obviously... and The Flash both Sky.
Yep.
So I think the Flash might have been shown on something else as well, but I think they're pretty much both Sky.
I know it from being on Sky.
Yeah. So they're there. And this one is... the whole series in one is released on Netflix. Now, for me, that's a big selling point.
Yeah.
Because
I do like
to binge on a series. And I think sometimes with a series, you can run out of steam because you're waiting a week. Yeah. And then you watch that. I mean, The Walking Dead...
Mid-season breaks kill so many things for me as well.
If I watch Walking Dead, particularly in series 2, and you have a very slow episode that you've waited a whole week for, and then you watch it, nothing happens, then it's a whole another week. Yeah. And you think, well, is something going to happen next week?
You get a bit resentful almost.
Yeah, and with Daredevil... It's like, you know... I mean, they are doing a big origin story. The black suit thing does tie in with the early comic books and does sort of suggest that it goes in nicely. I was reading an interview, one of the makers, where they were saying they were trying to work on it. What would... If he was... when Spider-Man had his wrestling outfit.
Yeah, the wrestling outfit.
And they were saying, like, he's a vigilante at this point. He's not the hero.
Yeah.
He's somebody who... He's angry. He's got the Catholicism is there, which is a big part of the comics, which a lot of people don't really pay attention to, but it is integral. It's his morality,
yes,
his questionable of what's right and what's wrong, and community and everything else.
And that also tied him in his profession as a lawyer as well.
And in the trailer, he's at confession. And he's not confessing for what he's done, but for what he's about to do, which also suggests that there's something big coming.
Yeah.
So I like
the fact that teaser shot of the king. Well, I assume the Kingpin as well.
Yeah, which
so
is Vincent D'Onofrio. So, however you say it, D'Onofrio.
I think that's right.
Who's not quite as bulky, but I don't think that matters. I think it's always ridiculous when he's so huge. It works.
You can get away with it in the cartoon and the comic books.
It's like we said the other week about Fantastic Four. Some things work good on paper, some things don't.
But,
I think Michael Clarke Duncan worked as a Black
say,
Kingpin because he was imposing.
But he wasn't... He was probably as big as you could... Well, yeah, he was probably as big as you were going to find.
Andre the Giant would have been perfect. To shave his head.
Also dead.
The Big Show. He'd have been quite good. Can't act, though. I've seen Knucklehead.
I've seen Waterboy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, well, he acted all right there. He was pretending to be a wrestler. He couldn't
wrestle
very well.
He laughed at Bobby Boucher.
He was just a powerbomb.
How old are you, son?
But so I'm very impressed. At the interview, they were saying about at one point they had like a ski mask and they just sewed the ice shut on the ski mask.
Yeah,
I thought that's quite a kind of a bit terroristy, really. So it was interesting to see. The outfit does look Daredevil-y.
Yeah,
he's not in the red with the horns. He is just sort of
in the back,
vigilante.
In the back of the ring.
Yeah, and I'm more interested now, knowing it's just going to be on there in full, so I can just watch the series. It's either going to be good or it's going to be bad, but I'll have finished it in a week, so I don't mind.
So that's another thing that just occurred to me. If they do it, Netflix trial.
Yeah.
And then binge on the box set, and it's like, well, I can then decide if it's worth sticking with.
Well, this is it, and it's April it's coming out, isn't it?
I think it's in April.
Yeah, so which is about the same time as Better Call Saul. So you better also have a dip into that if you're a
and Game of Thrones.
And that'll be on Sky.
That'll be on Sky, yeah.
So don't let that distract you.
Too late.
What we're talking about TV, the other thing that's been added into my 4 in February is I started watching Heroes. Because I've never seen it.
Wow.
Well, I thought I'd never seen it because I've never finished watching it.
Yep.
I'm obviously aware of Heroes because you can't be in a video shop and you can't be on the internet without knowing. But I'd only ever watched about 2 episodes. And I don't know why until today.
Yeah.
And I remembered there was an actor in it. I think his name was Thomas Dekker.
Okay.
And he went on to be in the Sarah... I can't remember if he was in the Sarah Connor Chronicles for the Terminator series, but I'm pretty sure he was in it, and he played the friend of the cheerleader in it.
Yep.
And he was obviously gay. That was the whole point. It was like, oh, you're gay friend. When are you think about coming out to you?
It's like the main character in the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
There you go.
He's John Connor.
Yeah. So the reason I stopped watching it was it had been shown on Sky, I believe, and then it was shown on BBC Two.
Possibly. I can't remember which, but yes.
No.
Yeah,
So
it was one.
I watched it when it had already been shown.
Yeah, it was on Sci-Fi,
somewhere.
and then BBC paid a bucket load of money for it.
So
So like, why are they not licensed film this? Because it's better than EastEnders.
Yeah, whichever it was, I was watching it after it had been on.
Yeah.
Now, the actor there, it was in the series, he was very clearly the gay friend of the cheerleader. But they never openly said it, and the producers always intended it to be that her powers were coming out and she wanted to tell her parents, but he was gay and he should... both coming to accept who they are. And it was a good story arc and it would work. When that actor's agent... Now, bear in mind the script.
Yeah.
It's quite obvious that he's gay. They went, hang on a second, you want him to come out as gay? He's auditioning for Terminator. They'll never hire him if he's gay.
Yeah.
And
But he played that part really well.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there was that kind of teenage ambiguity.
Yes.
And he is.
Yeah. Well, it was never supposed to be as ambiguous. It was supposed to be completely dealt with as a story, just to say, you know what?
Yeah.
You've got your power, and I'm gay.
So I never knew that. I just assumed that was one of those awkward teenage...
No. And because I'd read that at the time...
And the actor who played that.
I was so annoyed that the series edited because his agent said, well, we're not going to do it if you're going to do it. And she threatened to pull him out of the show and out filming and everything. And then tried all sorts of legal action to stop it from happening. So I stopped watching because I was so annoyed that they dared to go, oh, you know what, actually, this fucking actor, just because he wants to go off and do Terminator, well, we've got to now sacrifice his whole idea that being gay is not that big a deal, because it clearly is a big deal, because this actor can't even deal with that. He's acting gay.
Yeah.
And so I stopped watching it because I get quite annoyed by that.
Obviously.
And And it's a shame I did, because it's a very good series.
Yeah. I loved the first series.
Yeah, well, I'm on the first series. I know it went off kilter, but also with the Super Bowl, they had the tease of Heroes Reborn, which is a new series of 13 episodes, which is set years later.
Curious.
A lot of the cast isn't coming back. Her kind of adoptive dad, the horn ring glasses guy, he's back for it.
Okay.
So's the piano theme.
He hasn't really done anything else.
The piano theme bit, I think that's in the teaser as well. No Sire. No Nikki.
Can't have gone on to things.
No cheerleader. No
She's married to the heavyweight world champion.
Yeah. So it does look like it's going to be a new wave of heroes or whatever. And I'm quite excited about that, because it's one of those things where sometimes a series finishes, and whether it's finished on a good note or a bad note, years later you do kind of want to have something more.
Yeah.
So the original creator's back, a lot of the original team are back to do it. And it's like if they said tomorrow they're going to do a new Quantum Leap with Sam Beckett as an older scientist sending somebody else off on a trip, I'm like, yeah, do it, because I'd love to see some more of that.
Yeah.
And the world of Heroes, as I'm seeing it, is very respectful to comic books in general.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of basically just binging that in February as well. So I've got one series of Heroes and a game every week.
Cool.
And then I'll be caught up. But so far, quite liking it.
Good.
It's
so I really enjoyed the first series, and as you know, it tailed off after that.
Yeah.
Which was a shame, because...
Well, I think sometimes as well, if you're dealing with superhero abilities, it is hard to get over that first, you've seen them have a power. Well, hang on, what possible threat can somebody who's indestructible have? Like, oh, well, she's not going to get that. Or, so there's that thing going through. So
I mean, that was one of the... I'm conscious I don't want to spoil it through. That was one of the things I liked with certain aspects of some of the characters' stories.
Yeah.
Where you look and you think, well, they can't. How they can get themselves out of any situation, and there were story arcs which took it to a point where it was demonstrated.
Yeah.
You're not invincible.
No,
you can't just get out of any situation. There are situations you need to be prepared for.
And this is it.
Differently, and they they kind of broached that, which was good, I thought.
Yeah.
Because that can be the elephant. We said it with Superman.
Yeah.
Last week, the elephant in the room is always, well,
you're Superman.
Unless you've got a bit of green rock.
Yeah. You're done for. And this is it. So yeah, I'm enjoying it now. I'm enjoying it as well as a piece of TV history as well. Yeah. Because the thing is, with series,
some things don't date well either.
No, but this has dated very well. Because it's not. I mean, it was 8 years ago, the first series. So it seems a lot longer to me. But what's good about it is now it seems more relevant than ever.
Yeah.
Because that came out off the back end of the X-Men films. Now we're at an age where you've got the Marvel Studios films.
Yeah.
And suddenly, like, superheroes are like, oh, I want more superhero stuff. Like, so you've had stuff like Alphas and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and bits like that. They kind of come in and it's like, oh, I want another superhero TV series. So it kind of feels right now in a time where the Arrow and Flash and Daredevil are getting these big TV shows. Why not give Heroes a go? So going back, and I'm wondering whether because I'm binging it and I've not got 3 years of expectation on Series 4, maybe I'll enjoy it slightly more than people who were so invested in that first series who were like, I really like that series, and then boom, what was that? Don't know. Yeah. And Hero is amazing.
Yeah.
But I want a time travelling Japanese psychic. just hey, how are you? It's weird that he's as old as my girlfriend. He was in his early 30s when he made that, and he looked about 17. Them bloody fat Chinese people looking young, how dare they?
I can't remember what it was Emma and I were watching. It's going back a good few years. It's probably one of those weird MTV reality shows. And the show, for whatever reason, was at the Playboy Mansion.
Right.
So I think whoever the main character was a person you probably wouldn't be surprised to see at the Playboy Mansion.
Okay.
He's wandering around.
Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Probably, something like that. Wandering around, saying hi to all the Playboy bunnies, and randomly they're going to like the grotto. And there's Hero, and he's just sitting there, surrounded by these women. He's just like, it looks like a really weird situation.
He paused it, took Hugh Hefner out, put himself in.
It's not acting at all. He's actually got those powers.
Well, interestingly, he worked doing special effects on Star Wars films.
Yes.
And stuff like that.
Done a lot of random stuff, isn't it? Something like NCIS Miami or LA or whatever
he did Hawaii 5-0.
That's the one.
Yeah. So he's like, he said he was a brilliant interview.
With Boomer from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, there was a brilliant bit of interview with him where they were saying about his mum wouldn't come to the Emmys. He said, well, she's very traditional. Whenever she's in Japan, I win awards.
Yeah.
whenever she comes to America, she always has bad news, like, Mum, I want to be an actor. I quite like that. But, I'm... Like I said, I shall binge Series 1 this week, get that finished. And Series 2 is quite a short one because it was part of the writer's strike times.
Yeah.
Which we all now forget, but for a while, that ruined TV for everyone.
Every good TV show seems to be ruined by a writer's strike in Season 2. Walking Dead was the same.
Yeah.
Maybe they should just skip Season 2 and go straight to Season 3.
Maybe it's like the floor 13 on a hotel.
Just
never do a Series 2, yeah. Right.
Welcome to Series 4 of Back in the Game.
What's this Humble Bundle you're showing me? What is this? I'm seeing the word Star Wars and Humble Bundle in the same sentence.
Well, you have bought quite a few Humble Bundles in your time from
really
Steam.
Have, yeah.
As we've kind of discussed before, it's led you to some sort of a problem on Steam. You've got so much to do. You can't do it all. But this one caught my eye. I'm not a big Steam user.
No.
And I sometimes look at the Humble Bundles.
Well, the petrol engine has made Steam somewhat redundant.
It has made it redundant. But anyway, so I look at the bundles and I'm tempted. But this one really caught my eye because it's a Humble Bundle of Star Wars games.
Okay.
Including, much to my delight, Knights of the Old Republic.
Very good.
Which was a fantastic RPG, which I played many times over.
Yeah.
And actually, I think Knights of the Old Republic 2 didn't get enough credit sometimes. I thought Obsidian did a good job with that one.
Yeah.
And a lot of people kind of lamented it. But I think that was unfair. But anyway, the Humble Bundle can contain Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, and Dark Forces, which I also loved as a kid.
Dark Forces was brilliant.
As an FPS on the PC. But they've also made it so if you pay more than the average price, you also get Republic Commando.
Yeah, not so good.
Knights of the Old Republic 2, Sith Lords, Battlefront 2.
Yeah, which is very, very, very good.
Yep. And more games will be unlocked in this tier 2, is what the little news article said. So
yeah, that's usually you get a couple more games.
But then it takes another step, where if you pay $12 or more,
okay, so now
and you'll get everything we've already mentioned, plus Force Unleashed 2, Force Unleashed Ultimate Sith Edition, and Star Wars Empire at War Gold Pack.
Excellent.
So that's a pretty hefty set.
For $12, that's what, £8.
So
that's worth it just for Empire at War.
That's worth it just for Knights of the Old Republic, in my opinion.
Well, it is, but I'm saying from a PC point of view, I think Empire at War is the one that most people immediately overlooked. Because it's like, it's Command and Conquer with Star Wars. Yeah, it's Command and Conquer with Star Wars!
But I'm just thinking, because some of these are also available on the Mac, including Knights of the Old Republic. I'm just trying to find the exact list. Somebody did put it up on Eurogamer.
There's always somebody who puts it up in an awkward place, don't they?
I know. But there's 3 of them that work on the Mac as well. So that really caught my eye. Knights of the Old Republic especially, I would happily pay $12 for.
On Humble at the moment, actually, that listeners might be interested. There's also an Adventure Games pack that's got the Broken Sword point-and-click adventures, including the 5th one, which was released earlier this year. There's a book bundle, which is all programming for kids and like Lego ideas books and things like that. So that's a really good one. There's a mobile bundle, which is all Cartoon Network shows. So you get Adventure Time and regular show games for Android, which is sublimely good.
Johnny Bravo Adventures.
Well, the thing is, Cartoon Network has always been one of those shows, those channels that, much like Nickelodeon in the 90s, make shows that kind of exceed the expectation for an 8-year-old. Like, I can watch Cartoon Network with my kids and think, it's amazing. That is just amazing. I'm loving every minute of that. You found a list?
Yep. Apparently, the supported games for Mac are Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Knights of the Old Republic, and Force Unleashed. Force Unleashed.
So you get the Sith edition, which is a good version of that. Yep. And Knights of the Old Republic, which is the best of the bunch. So,
but even still, £8 for at least 2 good games. One very good game, one good game. Jedi Academy. I know some people liked it, some hated it.
Dangerously close to Bruce Forsyth. Good game. Yeah, just be careful of that. We don't want to be having to test daily you out of here. But no, that's a good bundle. And Humble Bundle is always it's always worth following Humble because they've usually got 2 or 3 on the go now. Yeah. They've kind of got to the point where even they've got a store where they just sell games cheap. And like I say, it's good that you're supporting a charity as well. You're not just buying games cheap. You're buying games cheap and giving the money to a good cause. Now, I would say, if you're the sort of person that gives all your money to charity and none to the developers, don't do that. That's awful. I know the developers don't want it, but it does help you get new games if the developers have money. And then you won't have to go do a Patreon. Like, everybody's doing a fucking Patreon at the moment. We're not doing Patreon. What we do is send us a copy of Shaq Fu. We got another copy of Shaq Fu this week.
Yeah.
We got a Super Nintendo Shaq Fu.
Awesome.
to go on the shelf. So
we're going to have to start buying these consoles to play it.
No, nobody needs to play it. Ugh. Don't be ridiculous, Rob. So we now got the CD Return of Shaq Fu, Genesis Shaq Fu, and SNES Shaq Fu.
Ooh.
Now I'm not object to how
Genesis. It's Mega Drive.
Well, no, this was Genesis. This was the American version. So I don't mind.
I'm still not buying it.
If we end up with 7 SNES copies, I'm still really happy. And I'm loving the fact that people are still doing it because it doesn't support the show at all. It's the best way to support the show is we're not asking for anything. We don't need it. We can just about manage. We're in a basement with a Mac. We don't need expensive microphones or mixers. We don't need editing software. We don't need to pay for hosting because we're using Spreaker, which is free and it's brilliant.
You know what we could do? If you get enough copies of Shaq Fu in a certain format, you can make bookends and everything. And we can have a whole line of Shaq Fu merchandise.
I'm hoping if the shelf for Shaq Fu gets big enough, we're going to contact Shaq himself and go,
get him on the
look
show.
what we've got.
And see if we'll come on the show.
I have also got on the shelf, or above the shelf of Shaq Fu, someone sent us a picture of Shaq with Seal looking quite frightened.
I saw this, yeah.
And they said if you want to print this out, we've printed it out.
Beautiful.
It's there now with the shelf of Shaq. So, yeah, if you can't send a game in, find a funny photo of him. Send us that. We'll print it out and put it on the wall. We'll have an entire cupboard of Shaq.
I feel like the Eurogamer this year we have to wear Shaquille O'Neal jerseys.
I'm going to shave my head and paint myself black. So I do everything else.
Might not go down so well.
I'm cosplaying as Shaquille O'Neal. And he is a video game character.
Yes.
And it is entirely reasonable to black up in cosplay circumstances. I've seen men.
And if anybody argues with them, you can use Shaq Fu on them.
I can use Shaq Fu.
Is this the whole Idris Elba James Bond conversation we had the other week? You can't have a black James Bond, but it's fine for Sean Connery to Japanese himself up. Yeah. That was okay.
You can have a black James Bond if you want, and you can have a black-white Bouncy with a basketball. And that's my Bouncy ball. So yeah, so right, let's move on. Let's finish off for the night. So yes, thanks for all the support so far. The reviews on iTunes are really helping. What we could do with now is if you know someone who would like the show, let them know. Get them involved. Copy them in on tweets. Get them on Facebook. Not just on social networks, because I found that social networks quite limited reach. What I've found, if you go into a pub and go, there's a podcast called We're Lollicourse Back in the Game and it's pretty damn good, we'll get some more downloads.
Yeah.
So if everyone listening to this goes into a public place and just shouts about the Lollicourse loudly enough.
Well, what you do is on the bus, that annoying teenage twat at the back with his house music on,
Yep.
you just put the podcast on and turn that up so it's louder than the twatty music. So then everybody on the bus can enjoy the sound of our voices and not that twatty house music.
Yeah. And what we'll do is, as a special, if people say they're interested in doing that, we'll record a special episode
on a bus,
which will be called We're Lollicourse Back in the Game. How to take down an annoying twat, and it'll basically just be us two berating
back in the game on the buses.
Hey, you with your music. You might be. I can't even tell if you're a boy or a girl because you've got to keep it generic. You don't know. I don't even know if you're a boy or a girl. But you know what? You're a fucking shambles. How fucking dare you with your shit music? If you're going to play music, play it through a decent speaker. Unless you have got one of those Bluetooth speakers in your pocket like a cunt. Well, don't do that on the train or bus or taxi or shop or wherever you are, because we can't see you because we're on live radio. Yeah, live radio. And we're telling all our listeners how much of a dick you are. We could do that for a whole episode. Just like in different sections. Or to do gender-specific ones. So they could skip through.
Can we do public transport-specific ones? You, on the Metropolitan line.
Yeah. You, old lady, feeding pigeons in the Jubilee station. How dare you? You're not supposed to, A, feed pigeons, or B, take breadcrumbs and throw them on railway tracks. It's just dangerous. We could do that. It would be good. But yeah, so spread the word. Do that.
Get it on a bus.
Rate us and reviewers, and make sure you're subscribing on iTunes because it does help. If you're getting us through Stitcher, then yay! Thanks for getting us through Stitcher.
Have you figured that one out yet?
People just listen to it.
Oh,
that's pretty much it. It's good. It's like you can just tune in and get it, and it's good because it's Android friendly.
Yeah. So, have we still broken SoundCloud as well? Are we still
SoundCloud? Everything goes to SoundCloud, but we are just our girth is too large, and the mirth is too good. Tweet us again if you're doing Fall in Feb. We'll have post from Gav. He's playing some games.
Yeah.
I think he's doing Battlefield 4 story mode. I think he's nearly finished that, he said.
Yeah, he said he wanted to play out.
So I did say to him that Battlefield Hardline... Oh, Battlefield Hardline. Forgot to talk about Battlefield Hardline, didn't I?
Go for it.
Very briefly, because I haven't played a huge amount of it. It's live on Xbox One at the moment. It's on live on everything at the moment. And it's suffering a little bit with lag.
I have seen comments made.
This mostly seems to be EA is saying the servers are at max capacity. So that's a good thing, because it just means they know when it launches they need more servers.
Yep.
In the short term, it does make the game unplayable. Some it did for me. Hotwire mode, by far my favourite mode in the game. You know the games where you go and capture a control point,
yep.
and if you can capture more than they do, you're winning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's that, only the control points are vehicles. So you get in a car and you're driving around, and you've got to keep from being blown up or hijacked. It's great. It doesn't work with lag, though, because your car goes like that. Very annoying.
That can be annoying. I saw you in Postman Gav talking about trying to recreate some sort of bizarre Royal Mail delivery run.
If the game's not very good, we'll get in a van and we'll just drive around and he'll show me how to be a postman. So we're going to turn it into like Postman Simulator.
Including the lag and the jerking motion.
Pretty much, that is what postmen do. What else is he going to be playing for other than Battlefield
Gav
4?
Nominated Finishing Sunset Overdrive and Max Curse of the Brotherhood, taking on Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes.
That's not a game. It's a demo.
He was called on that by a couple of people when he posted it, and as you mentioned, the Battlefield 4 campaign.
Okay, well, I'll let him off because he is playing the exceptional Sunset Overdrive. Yeah. So, Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes is a good game. I expect him to get 100% achievements for that to count. Gav, you groove-faced knob. Battlefield Hardline is on. Well, we'll talk a bit more about it next week.
Hopefully the lag has sorted itself out a little bit.
Well, if not, I'll just shout about it next week.
It'll be great. Shitty the lag is.
So hopefully I'll have played Call of Duty as well next week. Hopefully you'll have finished Tomb Raider.
That's the aim.
And we will be that then. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can find us at WeAreTheLollercourse, whatever we've mentioned about 4 or 5 times now through the show.
We're getting good at this branding.
We really are. Also, if you've seen Mark, who joined us for last week, and you're interested in his videos, you can find him as at Killercam. Was it XBLA Killercam?
Silicam, CILLA.
Yes, Killercam with a C.
It is.
I like how everybody has to do something, and then you, just for your name.
Yeah.
So, you can find me at BounceForwardH2B, or you can find Rob at
Rob McGregor 35.
Yeah, which is how old you were when you were born.
That's right.
And
I've got the Benjamin Button thing going on.
It is. It's rather fantastic. So that's our start of February. We will see you next week for episode 7, which we might record from a shed, because that'd be like Shed 7.
Ooh.
Or we could do a party, and there'd be party. Is it party 7 or party 6?
Party of 5.
No, I was thinking the big beer they had in the 80s.
Oh, God knows.
I can't remember. I think it was party 7. There was a giant can, and you'd share it around. But either way, I'm sure Gav will tell us because he's old. No, it was a giant can that you actually opened that you shared. But Gav will know because he's an old postman.
He was.
So
if anybody else is doing 4 in February,
get in touch.
Send us a message at WeAreTheLollercourse with an R and use the hashtag 4Feb, number 4 FEB. Because then you've got more characters to tell us what you're playing.
I like that 4Feb sounds like a Star Wars robot as well.
If all else fails, that's what we'll pitch it as.
Yeah. So we will see you next week for episode 7, and thank you very much for listening. Bye! Wave, Rob. Keep waving. No, we do that every week. We're just telling you to keep waving. We actually wave every time.
Keep waving. We're just waving each other.
If we just stop waving right now...
I can't.
You didn't stop.
I can't do it. I feel
You're going to be waving
We're still recording.
Next week.
We're still recording, and I'm not waving.
I'm going to pour a drink while you just wave yourself to death.
I want to push the stop button.